I'm discovering something new every time I pick up the paintbrush or mix paint colors or cut out paper and glue it onto my painted background. It's a discovery for me every time, and it's never boring. The first book that I illustrated is My Hands Sing the Blues, Romare Bearden's Childhood Journey. And it's the true story about Romare Bearden, African-American collage artist, painter during the Harlem Renaissance. It was kind of imitating the art style of Romare Bearden himself, who worked in collage a lot. He used paper from magazines and newspapers and photocopies and construction paper. So I was trying to emulate his art style and creating an art style that would be appropriate for telling his story in a book. So that was a lot of fun, and it was kind of my first foray into collage, making collage art. This illustration in particular shows people walking up through the branches of the tree and floating up into the air. And this is insinuating the freedom that enslaved people from the South sought when they came north through the Great Migration. My favorite type of art is oil painting. I love painting portraits, but it was an opportunity to explore and learn and be inspired by someone else's technique and style and incorporating that into my own. So I've really been using the collage technique mixed with oil paint for a lot of my books since the first book. One Plastic Bag, Aissatou Ceesay and the Recycling Women of the Gambia is one of my favorite books that I've illustrated because it's about a real person in Africa solving a problem. Aissatou Ceesay in the Gambia saw that there were many plastic bags that were polluting the piles of trash and the rivers and people's sidewalks, and she decided that she was going to solve this problem because many of the animals, the goats, were chewing up the plastic bags and getting sick, and children also would be playing with plastic and getting sick. So she decided that she was going to pick out all the dirty plastic bags that she found around the entire town. She brought them home, washed them with soap and water, cut them up into strips, and crocheted them into little purses that she sold at the market. So it's a story about not only cleaning up the environment, but it's also a story about empowering women, because many women in the village were mothers and wives and worked very hard at those jobs, but they were not seen as people that could really do anything more than raise a family. And she was able to create a women's group that empowers the ladies and girls in her village to earn an income and really provide for their families on an economic level. I would love to continue to create artwork that promotes a positive image of Africa and that shows that Africans can create solutions to their own problems. The inspiration for my most recent book, Grandpa Cacao, is cultivating cacao and coffee. Everyone loves chocolate. So I figured I want to write a book and illustrate a book about how my grandfather harvested and prepared cacao beans to send to chocolate factories for us to have chocolate. And the story talks about what he did every day to harvest the cacao beans, dry them in the sun, get them ready to be sent off for chocolate making. And I thought this would be a great book to show children where chocolate comes from. But I'm also sharing my family story inspired by my father's memories of growing up in the Ivory Coast with his father and following his father through the bush to the cacao farm, cutting down the cacao pods from the trees with a machete, cutting them open, scooping out all the beans, letting them ferment underground, laying them out in the sun to dry. I'm trying to share the difficult back-breaking process that farmers do all around the world so that we can have this commodity that we take for granted, which is chocolate. The story follows a little girl and her dad in the current day, which are really my dad and myself, in the kitchen baking a chocolate cake. And as they add the different elements of the chocolate cake into the bowl, the father is recounting what he witnessed with his father on the farm in Africa. So the illustrations for Grandpa Cacao are a combination of painting and collage for the little girl and silkscreen for the scenes where Grandpa in Africa is going through the process of what he does to harvest. So I'm trying to tell two stories on one page: the story of the past, or what the farmer did with white silkscreen, and the story of what we do today, which is making wonderful chocolate cakes and goodies with painting and collage. I've been lucky to kind of use my childhood inspiration growing up in a hot tropical place with vibrant colors and patterns, and using that kind of as the background for the inspiration to the illustrations that I create for all of my work.